Hi, this is Adam Berner, owner of the Berner Law Mediation Group, with an opportunity to speak and have a conversation with a very well-regarded marriage counselor, Sanya Bari, who I asked some questions that many of our clients, potential clients, are asking about whether they should be working on the marriage or whether it should be over. And if they're not sure, how to approach it, how to think about it, to ensure that you will be making the best decisions possible. That's certainly a goal of our process as we work in mediation and family collaborative law to help our clients make the best decisions possible. That's not just to figure out what kind of divorce settlement to look like, but even questioning or assessing whether there should be a divorce at all. So I hope you appreciate this interview and gain some ideas and suggestions for your own lives where relevant to help you make the best decisions possible. So Sanya, welcome. As you can imagine, since we specialize in mediation and collaborative family law, we're often sharing clients with marriage counselors. And I thank you in advance for sharing your time and expertise, since this is something that I know that you do, and we and our clients have many questions. So before we start with some questions, if you could give us a little about your background.
Yes, thank you so much, Adam, for inviting me. And I'm so excited to be here with you today. And I want to thank you for doing the work that you do and your firm, because there are so many professionals out there that are that keep in mind the family that remains after divorce. So I'm really happy to be here with you here today. And to give you a little bit about my background, I am a marriage counselor, a relationship therapist, but also at the moment I'm working as a relationship coach as well. I speak on matters about relationships, and I'm seen as a relationship expert in the field.
On occasion, we get a call from someone who's on the fence about whether they want to get divorced or not. And they're finding out by calling us more about mediation, about our collaborative family law services, but they're not just yet ready to move forward with the divorce. What would you tell such a person who's grappling with their marriage, but leaning towards divorce, so much so that they reached out to us? What would you tell them?
So I always tell people that it is very important to know where you are making that decision from. If you're making it from your surface self, which is those parts of us that are ego that get evoked, sometimes some people have given an ultimatum that if you do A, B, and C, I'm going to leave you. And I always request not to have those ultimatums, because everybody needs to understand that all of us have a right to leave a marriage. So there's no reason to unnecessarily give those ultimatums, because many times we don't know what we want to do until that situation actually occurs. So I want to make sure that people are not making this very, very important decision that they're not going to be able to take back if they from a place of reactivity. They have to make it from their authentic self, which generally speaking is not going to be activated if you are making if you are in your anger. One of the ways that you can know that you're making it from the wrong place within you, is if you find yourself having this urgency. I have to do this. If you're finding yourself to be on a little bit of a roller coaster, if you're extremely angry, if you have thoughts of wanting to get back at someone, that is not the place from which a person needs to make the decision of divorce. And I can also at some point during our conversation explain what does a person look like, because I also do divorce readiness. So I do assess my clients. They will just come in for consults just so I can assess them if they're ready for a divorce. And if they are still fighting, and if they're very, very angry and they're trying to get back right there, I know that they're not ready.
Mm-hmm. So for that couple who has worked on the marriage, they try marriage counseling, they just feel it's not working. What would you advise for them?
I would advise, a lot of times people are going to therapists that are not specialists in marriage counseling. They will, for example, if I'm a specialist and if I'm a therapist, when we go to therapy school, we are, or grad school, we are trained for everything from childhood to geriatrics. We are trained from eating disorders to addictions, whatever you name. But so if I'm a married person and I'm a therapist, I might think that, you know what? I think I can give some advice. And so a lot of people put that in there. And if you've gone to a true marriage therapist, likely, and then you're coming to a divorce, a place where you're consulting somebody for divorce, you are a different person. But if you are still walking into the divorce professional's office, if you're walking into a divorce lawyer's office and you're angry and you're agitated, then whoever you've gone to, they didn't do the right work. It would be really helpful for me to explain what a person looks like when they are ready for divorce.
Go for it.
And I'll tell you that if somebody's coming into my office and they're fighting, they're not ready. They still have too much. I know a person's ready when they're completely calm and they're ambivalent. They're not calm, happy, but they are calm, somber, but they don't have a lot of, ego of, I'm going to show you up. I'm going to divorce you so you'll be in pain. I want to show you what it feels like to hurt the way I'm hurting. So when a person is coming into the divorce process because of them and not because of a revenge or something like that, then there is a sense of when they're completely owning the divorce. I want the divorce for me. And I don't need the other person to hurt, but I'm done. That's when I know that, okay, this person's ready.
So it sounds like if they did the right kind of work with the right kind of marriage counselor, then they had this clarity that there shouldn't be a question as to what the right way of proceeding is.
Yes, when they're able to connect to a deep place inside them where there's stability, and the answer from that place, from that authentic place, comes, this marriage is not for me anymore,
Mm-hmm.
then the answer is coming from such a true place within them that they are able to make all of the decisions and take all of the action towards it. And whatever, every action has pros and cons. So when the cons come in the way of taking the action for the divorce, they don't mind, because they know that this decision is so representative of who they truly are that they're able to jump through all of those hoops and keep doing that, because they know that they can't do anything else. They're
Mm-hmm.
not doing it to show someone up.
And let's say there is more to do and they want to do it. They want to work intensely with a marriage counselor, but the other side doesn't. How would you advise that spouse who wants to work in things where the other one doesn't?
This is a very, very common scenario. In almost every marriage, we will see this scenario, and we call the person who wants the marriage a leaning in person, the other one leaning out. And what I will tell you is that marriage is a system. And when one person chooses to align within themselves and stand in their full power and chooses to do the work to become whole on their own without a positionality that when I do this, when I improve myself, when I work to evolve myself, that my partner will come back, doing that work because they themselves want that for them. When one person from a couplehood stands in their true power, the other person has no chance. They have to stand in their full power.
So it sounds like you're saying you could go to marriage counseling kind of alone without the other spouse, because there's always work to be done on oneself.
Yes, the secret of marriage counseling, which I guess I'm telling right now, is that people probably are not going to be very attracted to marriage counseling if I say this, which is that the secret is that we are working side by side in tandem with two individuals on their own. Marriage counseling really is about helping each person come up to their whole full potential, become whole individuals rather than dependent individuals. So one person, two people, it doesn't matter. I have been, and people like me have been able to save entire marriages, entire families, just because of one motivated person.
Mm-hmm.
I will tell you this too, Adam, that when people do individual work, when they do work to evolve themselves to that degree, anybody would have a fear that if I grow in this way, that just because of that growth, I will leave my partner behind. And many times people for years will stay in marriages where they know there's personal growth required and they have a desire to it, but the fear of, if I do this, if I go and augment myself, if I go and do what I want to, I live as I want to, because of the dependency agreement, that I'll have to leave my marriage. The truth is that it's the opposite. You will leave, your marriage will fall apart in a very painful way, and it'll feel like death by paper cuts in that process. Being in that relationship, if suppose you do rise in your full potential and your marriage, your partner cannot keep up, the depth of pain is not going to be there, because yes, you will lose the marriage, but you will not have lost yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Generally speaking, when a marriage breaks, you are losing two things. You're losing, yes, the marriage and the dream and your plans and everything that you had for it, but if you have not worked during the marriage to evolve yourself, and you have broken yourself, fractured yourself in a million different places, and become from a full person to a smaller and smaller and smaller person to maintain the marriage, then you also are grieving the loss of you. And you're doing that grieving while you don't have you to stabilize yourself, mm-hmm. and to cry on your shoulders, so to speak. So it's a very deep scar.
Mm-hmm. As recently as just a few days ago, I hear this question that comes up. Well, before we work on marriage counseling, we should work on ourselves first with individual therapists, and then maybe we'll be ready to work with a marriage counselor. How would you respond to that?
Well, a true marriage counselor is working with two individuals and in tandem. I know that when anybody is coming for marriage counseling, each person needs work. Let me take an extreme example of infidelity, because it's going to be blasphemy for me to say that the person who's betrayed has something to also heal. But I will tell you that these kinds of things, like an infidelity, they are just signals, or they are symptoms of the need for healing. And if anybody that is in the system, if there's a 2-year-old child that is in the family system, that child has to change too. It has to be systemic change. So everybody does have to change. So no, that is not true. A true marriage professional will be doing things, will be doing individual counseling in tandem with each other. And I will, many times, if I notice that one of the individuals, for example, has OCD, I will send that individual out to an individual counselor, and I will work tandem with them. If I see that one of them has maybe something like a bipolar disorder, then I will send them to a psychiatrist for medication, and I'll work tandem with them. The best part about doing couples therapy is that if I am a person, if I'm a client, and I say to my couples therapist that, I was just so kind, and I said this so kindly, And I can't believe that he overreacted. Well, your partner is sitting right next to you and he's going to be like, no, that's not true. She didn't say it that kindly. Now she's right and she's wrong, and he's right and he's wrong. But we know that whatever she's saying, I'm not saying that she's lying, but her impression is that she is saying it very gently. However, the way she comes across, or maybe she's saying it gently, but he doesn't take it that way. And that right there, like, I don't have to, so it doesn't waste time. That's what it is.
You mentioned the affair before. It sounds like your view is just because you had the affair, it doesn't mean, it's not about right or wrong. There's still work that can be done on the relationship. It's not over yet. Can you speak a little more to that?
Yeah. And, one of my specialties is infidelity. The other one is divorce. And these are so misunderstood. When I say divorce is my specialty, people think that I'm helping people get divorced. And yes, I am helping people get divorced who do need to get divorced, but but also getting you out of it if that's not what you want. But what I will tell you is that infidelity, working with so many hundreds of cases of infidelity, I will tell you that infidelity alone will not break a marriage. What will break a marriage is years of something not changing and people becoming hopeless. And I think of, a divorce as almost like marital suicide. And I want to give respect to people, who are actually dealing with suicide. I don't mean to take away from that, but what I mean by calling it a marital suicide is that the level of hopelessness that comes. So that's what happens. And no, most people, when infidelity occurs, and I would really love to change some of the myths around this, that is an opportunity and an invitation for each individual in the marriage, as well as the couple themselves together, to heal the parts of them that need healing. When work is done properly, in the right way, in the deep way, post-infidelity, a couple is closer than they have ever been to themselves. They're more real individuals, they're more authentic, and they're more authentic with themselves. So, and they say sometimes things have to burn down to the ground before they can be rebuilt. And it is just infidelity is the very thing that hurts bad enough for people to bring about changes. And people do change. I don't agree with once a cheater, always a cheater, because I see people change in my office all the time, but they're not going to do it out of guilt because of their responsibility. They're going to do it because selfishly they want to do it.
For someone who made a decision to get divorced alone, without the other side, what is the best way of conveying that decision to their spouse?
Okay, so I think that when they have made a decision, I'm hoping that this person who has made a decision has, spoken to their partner about it first. Are there people who just come out of the left field and speak about it for the first time? I think the best way to do it is to be honest and to just say that, listen, this is what I'm thinking about. And I've been thinking about it for a while and I've made a decision. Mm-hmm. When it really concerns me that when this conversation is happening, that the other person's surprised. That is an indication that you haven't communicated what you need to communicate. And that's it. That not being able to communicate what you need to communicate indicates massive issues in who and how you have been with your partner. Could it be that you have been communicating and the other person's in denial? Yeah, but it should not really be the first time somebody's hearing this.
And go ahead, you want to
And
say
my
more?
concern with that would be that if that person does in fact get a divorce is supposed to solve something that is not working and to give you a fresh start. That they're not going to get that. Mm-hmm. Because the healing happens when the pain is present.
So switching roles now, and now if you're talking to the person who just received the word from his or her spouse that the other wants to get divorced, and you're talking to the person who does not want to get divorced, how would you recommend to that person to try to save the marriage in light of the, you know, what they were told?
Yeah. So this really depends on the situation, but I can speak generally.
Sure, of course.
So the thing would be that one of my biggest problems with people who are trying to save a marriage in which one partner is leaving is that they start to chase the person. And so I'm going to use my hands as puppets and explain to you the pursuer distancer dynamic. And so what starts to happen is that the person who wants to save the marriage is pursuing the one that is distancing. And the reason, and the thing is that a lot of people think that it's love. I'm doing this out of love, and it's not. It is an anxiety. And so it's like, I'm feeling so anxious that you are moving away from me, that we have this distance between us, that I'm chasing you. And then this person says, well, I'm freaking out because you're chasing me, and I need to run away because you're chasing me. And so it goes on, but now there's distance, and I'm freaking out again, and I'm going to chase you. And do you see how that's not ending? That's not going to end. Generally speaking, it is not very possible for the person who's running away to stop. The way to break the cycle is going to be the one who's chasing, that person should stop. My biggest problem when I'm working with couples in this situation is that my request is for the person who's chasing to stay calm and stay put and work on themselves like this, in this neutrality position. But the only time they're going to stop chasing is it's like, like, oh, forget you. I don't even care about you. They will turn the other way. And that is also coming from anxiety. These are both anxious stances, two extremes of the same thing. And it's like, don't even let the door hit you on the back. Go for it. I don't even care about you. That's how they'll turn. If you are turning this way, this is coming from ego, and ego changes its mind. That's why we don't make a decision about your divorce and your marriage from the ego, because it changes mind and you feel like you're on a roller coaster. As soon as this person is likely going to turn, and is likely going to come and be like, hey, it's going to take a while for them to come because they're scared of you. But when they do, and understand they have the propensity to run away. When they do, this person turns around and there's a little bit of a honeymoon period, but then they engulf them again. And so this person runs real fast, and this time further. So my request is to stay neutral when you turn away, to pull your energy and your attention away and work on yourself. If you are truly doing this, turning away, not so you can save your marriage, but for the first time being honest that yes, there are things that I need to change, and I need to change them regardless of whether this person is in my marriage or not. And there is no positionality, that you're not using your change as a manipulation, as a control tactic, that if I change, then you'll come back. If there isn't that, and you're doing it for real, when this person comes back, you stand in your power, this is when the marriage gets saved. This person is still codependent and you've stood in your power. This person has no chance. And now they realize it's safe to be around you. It's safe to be around you because when you have emotions, I'm not responsible for your emotions. You can handle your own emotions. That you don't want a marriage with me so that I can fulfill your needs. You are a person who's becoming whole, who can fulfill their own needs, and we can be in a relationship where you just want me. And that's the exact level of pressure that a relationship can take.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, there's a lot there, somewhat counterintuitive too, which is good to hear.
Yeah.
I understand that you're a certified, if that's the right word, discernment therapist.
That's right.
Can you speak a little about what discernment therapy is, how it's different from marriage counseling, and who's the right couple for that process?
So, and they call it discernment counseling. And the right couple for that is any couple that is unsure whether they should get divorced or not. Any couple that sometimes feels like, yes, I want this divorce. And other times they're like, I don't know, maybe I shouldn't. That's when you want to, when there has been so much bickering and upset and anger and ego that's been come out, and you don't want to make a decision from that place. So I mean, I will sometimes tell people to wait until they work on themselves, but that's a really long time. And many times people don't want to do that because they have been hurting for so long, they just need a quick fix. And in that case, the discernment counseling, I love that protocol. And it is a protocol. It is not therapy. It is because it doesn't provide therapeutic it doesn't have a therapeutic quality. It has a discernment quality where it is a maximum of 5 sessions. And generally speaking, we'll do it in 3 to 4 sessions. And you don't know if you're going to have this session 2 unless session 1 is done. And the idea is to come together and for the therapist to be with a couple in a way that they can manage conversations without getting the ego involved. Many times when a couple is coming close to that place, it has become very dangerous to have conversations. They have learned how to live around each other in a way that they don't step on landmines. And therapy in that case doesn't do well because therapy can open up Pandora's boxes that people may not be willing to stay long enough to sustain. And this has to be something, if somebody's at that level, that they aren't able to get really, really triggered by what their partner is saying. Before therapy, this is very important. And it is to discern between 3 paths. First path being leave things as they are, and people should understand that is always an option. It doesn't mean just because you're having these discernment counseling sessions, you have to make a decision. Leave things as they are, divorce or separation. And number 3 would be a 6 months of commitment to therapy with an all-out effort. And if there is somebody in the relationship that has an outside relationship, like an affair, the request is to hold that relationship for 6 months, to put it on hold, so that we can give it a true run.
Okay. Thanks for clarifying what that is. I think I have one more substantive question. Could you talk a little about the impact of not doing this kind of inner work in the process of divorce and how it could impact your future relationships?
Yes, absolutely. Nobody's going to be crazy enough to go for a divorce unless it has become absolutely difficult to stay in the relationship that they're in. And their desire to get a divorce comes from not having that issue again. I don't want to feel like this again. This feels horrible. So if that is the goal, and you're truthful that that's the goal, it's not just showing up and you're another person up, then just by changing the cast and changing the venue, you don't solve the problem. Because wherever you go, there you are. You can divorce a person, but you can't divorce yourself. So when you go into the new relationship, you might be very discerning and select a person who's absolutely opposite to your first spouse. And you literally tell yourself, hey, this is going to totally work because she's opposite. All I have to do is find the right set of characteristics and the other person so that I'll be okay. And that's not true. Within 2.5 years, you're going to see that the same issues will start to develop. Because you have not healed something. And I know nobody likes to hear this, but one of the really, really important functions of a divorce, of a marriage, is to evoke pain in you, in your adult state, that you were unable to resolve in your childhood. And if you have a secure marriage and a secure relationship, and you are both secure individuals, you are able to get a platform, a nest in which you both can heal and evolve to be people that are that produce at a greater level than somebody who is a single person, because there are parts of us that we cannot see that our partners can see. And also partners bring, because usually we marry opposite people, they bring a lot of unique perspectives. So going back to your question, what was your question? Let me make sure that I'm answering it.
I think you did. The impact of not doing the work on this
Yes.
marriage in light of future relationships. Yeah.
Yeah, the impact is that it travels with you and you enter a pain cycle where the exact thing that you're trying to avoid, that starts to show up regardless of the different people that you're in a relationship with.
That's deep. Very, very valuable ideas. So rumor has it you are working on a book. You want to say
Yes.
what you're working on?
Yes, I am working on a book, and I have a method that I have created, and it's called Conscious Unification Method. And it's a very good framework to make sure that you align with that place inside you, from that allows you to have amazing relationships. Yes, with yourself first, and then with anybody else. And it is also a very big, the book also speaks about all of the myths, which I call relationship myths that spoil relationships, that have literally set us off on this programming where we all, if you look around, most relationships are not sound. And they're at various levels of breaking. And people are thinking that they have to reduce themselves, who they really are, to sustain a relationship. And all of that is just made up. And it's not true. And not only do we practice it, we teach it to the young people that are coming, and we're propagating something that hasn't worked for us. And I feel that a lot of times we're doing this because we don't have a solution. So I'm deliberately writing it. And I've actually written the whole book one time and I didn't like it. And I'm rewriting it because I want it to be very simple. I'm not really speaking to other therapists. I want to speak to the everyday person, and I want them to have a framework on actually how to get it done.
Sounds great. So I look forward to reading it. Let me know when it's out.
Thank you so much, Adam.
So you offer a lot of sage advice, and could you just give us some contact information for those that might want to find out more information or might want to work with you? How would they find you?
Absolutely. I have a practice by the name of Counseling with a Difference. And so they can go on, they can just Google Counseling with a Difference and it'll come up. Also, I have my coaching practice with my name, Sanya Bari. So you can go to sanyabari.com and you can find me there. I have a YouTube channel by my name, Sanya Bari, and you can find me there as well. And also an Instagram account and a Facebook account with, again, my name and the practice's name. It will be very easy for you to find me if you just Google.
Okay.
And the best way to reach me is to call me or text me at 973-755-2306 or email me at sanyabari.com.
Okay, there you have it, folks. You know where to go when you need help along these lines. Sanya, thanks so much for your time. A lot of great pearls of wisdom. I'll assume I'll cut at this point. I just want to also confirm to be official about in terms of authorizing me to use the recording. And,
yes, please. I would love to. And I would also like your permission to post this on my channel.
Sure. So I will, I'm not sure how, because I'm sure it's a pretty large file, but I will figure out how to get that to you as well.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you.
Okay. And I'm curious, have any of our clients, anyone that has referred, that I referred to you, anyone work out? I know there were a handful of people.
No, not yet. Nobody's really contacted me, or they have and they don't tell me, but you do tell them to to say that you, thank you. So to say that you are, okay, So no, Adam, no, not really, not yet.
Interesting. There was one young man who, very new marriage, Alexander, I think was his last name, where I actually thought he said he was headed your way, but I guess not, or
Well,
maybe
you know what?
eventually.
The other problem that happens is that if they're looking for an insurance coverage, then I don't take insurance.
Sure.
However, I've made it very easy for people because I have a billing person on staff just to check their benefits, and she also files claims for people.
Hmm.
So that I'm not sure what happened with him. I can check in with him. And do you remember his last name is Alexander?
Yeah. Yeah.
You must have given him my email address.
Probably, or your website. And again, this goes back a while ago. And
Okay,
he's
so
been
I
on my
don't know what
list
happened,
to,
but no, he didn't. He didn't
okay. He's been on
ultimately.
my list to follow up. And it's always that balance of spending time following up with clients and following up people who you want to see how things played
Yes.
out. So good luck on your book. I look forward to crossing paths again. And I really appreciate your time.
Thank you, Adam. So do try to send me that file
You
because
got it.
I really I do like to post that. I don't know how you're going to do that. Let me think about it. I'm not sure how you're going to do that, really.
I think I'm going to have my assistant Michelle figure that out. But I think if I save it in my cloud, and then if I send you a link, you might be able to get access to it that way.
Download it on my computer.
And if you don't mind, maybe what I'll do at some point is just give information about myself as well. I'll put
Yes.
that on there.
I generally speaking, if I have somebody that's not me like you, I will also have that in the description. But it's very good to give that information. I'm sure you'll have like images or stuff with your name as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, good to speak to you, and we'll be in touch.
Yes. Thank you, Adam.
Okay, take care. Bye-bye.